You've landed inside the bubble with Harli G, a podcast for the superwoman. I am a mother, wife, and ambitious career woman who realized one day that part of me was unfulfilled. I launched this platform to help other women discover and walk in their ultimate purpose through shared stories of trials, fear, dreams, courage, grief, and triumph. No matter who you are or where you're from, there's purpose in your story. This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? So it's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. Insiders, Inside the Bubble with Harli G is now sponsored by BetterHelp. As a partner of this episode, listeners can access the BetterHelp link located in the show notes to receive 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help. Go to BetterHelp, that is BetterHelp.com/inside the bubble, the link to get started. Welcome. I am Harli G, host of Inside the Bubble with Harli G, a podcast for the superwoman. Thank you for tuning in. The purpose of the Purpose in Entrepreneurship series is to inspire women who have a burning desire to do their own thing, but don't know where to start. Women who are fully committed to their 9-to-5, but can't seem to find time to pursue their purpose outside of work. And women who struggle with trying to balance life's demands, spouse, partner, children, extended family, friends, community involvement, while running a business and are experiencing the feeling of guilt because of not committing an equal amount of time to all of it. So today, holy, I don't even know how to introduce this person right now because
I love it.
let me tell you something. This was a long time coming.
It really is.
And you know what? I'm glad that I waited this long for you to come in this specific setting.
Okay.
So that all right there, like you have no idea how much this does to my soul right now. So
I'm feeling like very inspired in this moment.
You are? Okay.
I am.
I never know when she's real and when she's not. So anyway, my guest today is Velvet Washington, who is going to be joining me to share how she's defined her purpose in her chosen line of business. So I'm going to share this quick little story about Velvet. So when I first started in our 9-to-5, she's like, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm about to. So when I first started at our current 9-to-5, I kind of took it upon myself to see a kindred spirit when I met Velvet, when I saw her, right? But she's the type of kindred spirit that's like, hold up, I don't know about you. Like she has to warm up to you. She has to get to know you a little bit before she fully opens up or whatever.
Fair. I think that's fair.
And now in my culture, it is very common.
I know this story.
She's like, I know what story she's talking about.
Go for it.
It is very common for us to greet one another hugging.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you know Velvet, Velvet needs her space.
No,
Don't deny it. Don't deny it. And own it. And y'all, when I come in the morning at 7:30, I'm on 12. On the scale from 1 to 10, I'm typically on 12.
Let's talk about that.
And so Velvet, if Velvet has not had her coffee,
I'm on 2. That's the real.
No, you're more like
issue.
You're more like -2.
Probably. That's the real issue. You're on 12. I'm on 2, and we're in the same space before 9 a.m. And it's just like,
it's like, where do we meet in the middle? We didn't.
I was just like, we didn't.
We didn't.
I was like, I can't.
We did not meet in the middle.
I can't.
No.
I just
and
can't.
so we had to come to a compromise. Well, first of all, this was too much in the morning. Okay, it's 7:30 in the morning. So it was too much. So I had to adjust and taper it down a little bit, maybe to like a 6 or 7.
After a little feedback.
Yes, and I received that feedback.
You did.
And but it wasn't like we had really communicated that. And it was while we were at an event. And we were talking about, I can't quite remember what the event was, but we were talking about the event and how we show up in the workspace. And when I started talking about my culture and how we greet each other, you were like, that's why she shows up that way. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that your energy, the energy that is Velvet every single day, is absolutely amazing. Because I really don't know that many people who can match my energy.
Right, after 10 o'clock, I'm like, bring it.
Exactly. But before 10 o'clock, you must let Velvet have her coffee.
One cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then we can do whatever you want to do.
And then after that,
whatever kind of time you want to be on.
Exactly. So just wanted to put that little story out there.
It is interesting because that did give me a little more insight into you and your personality. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because when you show up, we know you are there, okay? We know Harli is in the room. And I love every ounce of it. I love all of it. But before 10, I was struggling. I was like, I love her and I love her energy, but I can't. And then I think we had like
we had that conversation. We did.
I was like, you know what? You hug a lot. It's like, I'm a hugger, but not before 10. And it was so fun. It was just the most awkward moment, but it was also a moment of just understanding. And I think when I said that to you, you told me, well, in my culture,
this is how we,
and you said, this is how we embrace. And so then it helped me understand,
yes,
this is why she shows up this way.
But it also allowed me to understand that I just can't take for granted that the way I was raised in my culture is a way that everybody's going to receive. Right. So it helped. It definitely was maybe a pivoting moment for both of us to have that conversation. And I really think that conversation was almost kind of like a precipice to our friendship.
It was.
Yeah.
What I loved about it was, sometimes people can't, it's hard to receive feedback, especially from somebody who has not had their coffee early in the morning. So I don't know if I really delivered that feedback in the right fashion, but what I do know is it gave us a moment of understanding, which is what I love about people, because you can learn so much. 2 seconds, you can learn just a whole bunch about them. And so I learned so much from you in that small moment. But it was also like a moment of just two women connecting, learning about each other. And it over what? 10 minutes in the break room?
Exactly.
So I think I would agree with you that I think it kind of paved the way for us a little bit.
And it did.
Yeah, I do.
And
we've had so many more conversations since then.
Oh my gosh. Like
way more than we can
from
say on this
you getting
podcast,
lost overseas, almost getting taken
overseas,
to
taken 3 or 4, whichever one he's on now.
3 or 4, Liam Nielsen. Okay.
Right.
And what I was thinking about was and through those conversations that we had at work, so I came to find out that you were on your journey to obtain your license, to become a mediator. Okay.
Yep.
Because I think sometimes I get confused because of the language, litigation, mediation.
Right.
But to become a mediator.
Right.
And I remember when I was taking my SHRM certification, I did not pass it multiple times.
Gotcha.
You were one of the people that I had a conversation with that I was able to be transparent and say, I've taken it and I haven't been able to pass it.
Right.
And what you told me was, well, Harli, now you have an idea of what's on the test now. So you just use that for the next time you take it.
Right.
So you didn't make me feel like, oh my God, you can't pass a test. And
I
so
failed so many state exams. So like,
and that's when you told me that you were in the process of taking your mediation exam as well. And so we had that connection, and you have gone on to do amazing things. So this podcast is about the superwoman. And I just want to say, you as a superwoman, you're a mother,
Yes.
You have a whole child.
I do. Whole
that has her
child.
own business.
She does have her own thriving business.
That has her own thriving business.
I'm very proud of her.
You have done what you needed to do to become a mediator.
I have.
So you have your own business.
I do.
You have been the executive assistant to the CEO for how many years?
It's going on. I've worked for him directly, probably about 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 going on 16.
You run that man's life.
Yeah,
okay?
Well, we make it work.
Him and his wife, okay? In partnership with his wife.
She and I make it work.
Right, exactly. And you are a single mom.
Right.
Who has raised a child, who is successful now. What does that journey look like for you?
Yeah.
Maneuvering and managing all of that, Velvet, because that is amazing. And you graduated. You just graduated.
I did.
Got your degree.
I did. Listen, it's the journey has been real, okay? I was a young single mother. I had my daughter when I was 15, as a matter of fact, 3 days before my 16th birthday. So I was a teenage mom. And so my daughter has grown up with me, and she's gone through every phase that I have ever gone through. She's gone through it with me. So it's been a journey. One of the main contributing factors to any success that I have, one is God, for sure, and also my community, my family and the community that God has blessed me with. My community rallied around me and they said, you are not going to fail. We are not going to let you fail. And so I'm a product of when the community comes together, what it can do. And so, I'm a huge proponent of supporting others, helping others, because I firsthand have experienced what that help looks like. I firsthand have experienced what people coming together saying, you know what, we're not gonna let you fail. We're gonna make sure you have every tool. We're gonna make sure you know how to raise this girl. We're gonna make sure you lack nothing. If it wasn't for my family, friends, godparents, and just the love of my church community, I wouldn't have made it raising my daughter at 16 years old. So, this has been a real journey. I don't know if there's any tissue, but this has been a real journey. But, and it's been one full of pivots and shifts and valleys, mountaintops, raising a kid is not easy, period. Children don't come with a manual. They don't come with a manual. And then when you're young and you're trying to learn who you are, it is even more difficult. So, I wouldn't suggest that road to anybody. It is definitely not one that is without pitfalls. But, to God be the glory, we're here. God has been great to me. He's been great to my daughter. Like you said earlier, she has her own thriving business. She's an esthetician and she has her own shop. And as a matter of fact, in October, I think we celebrated 2 years of her business being open. So I'm incredibly proud of her and what God has done for the two of us. It's been amazing. Can I get some tissue? Is that okay? I'm sure this is probably not a part of the program, but I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
We'll figure it out.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
We'll pivot.
We'll
like
pivot.
Yes,
for sure. And then, like you said, the school was a journey. It took a while to finish school. I started school when my daughter was probably in middle school because I felt like the timing was right.
Right.
But it took me a long time to finish. There were periods where I had to stop. Her senior year of high school, I stopped going to school because my focus needed to be on my daughter and kind of getting her over that hurdle and making sure she crossed that line. I just didn't feel like going to school was the right thing for me in that year. So I stopped that year. There have been other times where I've had to stop, but once you start something, you got to finish it. I'm definitely not a person to not finish. I'm a finisher for sure. You're a track person. You ran track. I ran track. Yeah. I ran track in high school, and you crossed that line. You do not.
Even if you're the last one, it doesn't matter.
You cross that line. You do not cross the finish line.
Period.
So, that's always kind of been my motto. You cross that line. And so school was just one of those personal goals for me where it was like, you know what, you have to do it. I was raised by a single mother. My mom, she got advanced degrees while raising her 2 children. and she didn't have near the amount of support that I had. So I had a firsthand example of what that looks like, and there are no excuses. So for me, with one child, with the support of all of, my whole community, there were no excuses. My mother left no room. She was a wonderful mom, but she just left no room for excuses. She did what she had to do, and she had to go out there and get it, and she did that. And so that's my example. It's my standard. And so not finishing school was not an option. Even high school with my daughter, not finishing high school was not an option. Like, I still finished high school, graduated with my class, had my daughter my junior year, still graduated and went on and finished school, but it was not an option to not finish, Not finishing is not on the table.
It's not an option.
It's not on the table.
So, I hear resiliency, I hear community, I hear support, I hear all those things. And how have you been able to apply that to entrepreneurship, and why mediation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I used to work in the court system. I worked in the court system. I worked for juvenile court.
I'm learning all types of things about you
Yeah, I
today.
worked for Fulton County Juvenile Court. I did that for 8 years, I think, 7 to 8 years.
What?
And I learned about mediation through my time with the court, at the court. And for whatever reason, it just felt right to me, because you have an opportunity to bring opposing parties together and help them, come to agreeable terms. And it just kind of suited my personality. I've always been the type of person that can see both sides. A lot of times people can only see their side, and they can only see the other person. They rarely can see themselves or have that, moment of self-reflection. But I have always been blessed to do that. And so it just felt right. It felt like, I can see both sides and then help bring them to a place of agreement. So it's kind of suited my personality, and it suited what I like to do, bringing people together. It's a place where I find a lot of joy in doing so. So it fit. I think a lot, you are a purpose pusher, which is what I like to call you now.
Purpose pusher. I like it.
When I talk about Jessie, she's a purpose pusher, actually. You do great seminars on purpose. I've learned so much from you where purpose is concerned. I think a lot of times when you're on your purpose journey, and you kind of figure out that thing that is for you and it works for you, a lot of times it suits your personality and who you are. And it just kind of ties all in. And so
all your gifts together.
It just tied kind of a lot of my gifts together, and it just felt right. So I dug into it, and then as I started to scale my business a little bit more, I started seeing ways where I could help the community, help other people. The same way I've been helped by my community of supporters, it gave me an opportunity to help others. And so I've found great joy in doing it. For a long time, before I really built my business, I was doing it pro bono, just because I just enjoyed doing it. I was driving to Savannah and all kinds of stuff from Atlanta just to get my feet wet. And I was like, I really like this.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of stuck, and it's just where we are right now.
So, which leads me to a question that, if you couldn't work anymore, if you didn't need your corporate job, would you do it full time?
I would absolutely do it full time. Yes, I would. I would do it full time, because it doesn't even feel like work. And so when you're operating in your purpose, and I learned this from you. When you're operating in your purpose, it doesn't even feel like you're working. It just feels like you're accomplishing what you set out to do, what God has put you here for. And it's so fulfilling. So when you leave it, you leave fulfilled instead of drained. Like sometimes we go to work, and if you're not working in what you doing what you love, a lot of times you leave working, you're drained. You're like, I just have nothing left to give. I love my job. I know, right? I love my job. Right. Talk about the self-talk. Yes. But when you're doing what you love, it just doesn't feel like work. So you don't get drained from it. You actually get fulfilled, and actually it pushes you. You know what I'm saying? So you want to keep doing it. So yeah, I would absolutely do it full time.
See? Okay, so I need to take a step back. I'm so sorry to do this, but please share the name of your business.
No problem. It is called the Atlanta ADR Center.
Okay.
And ADR stands for Alternative Dispute Resolution, which is where mediation falls. It's an alternative to litigation and going to court.
Got it.
So what I love about it is, this might be a different podcast for a different day, but a lot of times Black and brown people, we don't fare too well in the court system. And what I love about mediation is it gives you the opportunity to take a little bit of that power back. Usually in mediation, the parties are coming up with the terms.
Yeah.
But when you go to court and you're sitting before a judge or jury,
he decides.
He or they decide almost your fate.
Yeah.
And so what I like is it kind of shifts the tables a little bit, and it gives you power back. It gives you power back over your family, the obstacles you're experiencing within your family. You don't have to sit in a courtroom to do that.
Yeah.
You can hash out with your family members, and you guys can come to an agreement and understand that works for you. And you can be more creative, whereas, you know, in the courtroom, judges and attorneys and they have to follow, you know, certain standards, and with mediation you get to be creative. And I feel like what our communities need is more creativity. And a lot of times the law it's old and it's outdated, and there's no real wiggle room for creativity. But this is a way to make the legal system a little more creative and work to where families they benefit from it. You know, usually, most of the time in mediation, you rarely have people who do not complete the agreement that they set out, because a part of that is what they've asked for.
You got some skin in the game.
You got skin in the game. You asked for it. You go into mediation understanding that, I may not get everything I want.
But this is absolutely what I want.
Right, but I may be able to get 60% of what I want, 75% of what I want, and the rest of it I can compromise on. And so people are usually willing to compromise as long as they feel like, you know, my voice is being heard, my needs are being met. And as long as you can kind of address those things, mediation can be an easy process, and people usually follow the rules. So I say Black and brown people tend to fare better when you are going through mediation versus going through litigation and you sit in the courtroom. So that's what I love about it. I love what it does, what I think it does for the community, what I think it does for families, what I think it does. It makes you communicate with your family members. Sometimes you can't communicate with them, you know. You need a third party to help y'all. Listen. I have some family members, we've needed help, you know. And it's okay to need help, and there are people who are trained to help you through the process, to help you make difficult decisions. You know, one of the hardest choices is when you have, like, let's say a loved one who's aging, and we differ on the care for that person, and we're very passionate about it. We love this individual. We're all very passionate about it. We all want to see, you know, what we want to happen, but that may not be what's necessarily right for the individual. So, you know, you have elder care mediation so that you guys can sit down and hash those things out and talk about it, and we can make the best decision for your loved one, and it's agreeable, and the family's on the same page. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing worse than when you have a loved one who's ill or passing or something like that for you and your loved one.
And you're caught up in the fighting instead of remembering.
Loving and being there and being present with your loved ones. So I enjoy mediation for what I think it does for families and what I think it gives back to people and their loved ones.
I've always thought of you as having a powerful voice.
Thank you.
Not, you know, some people, outsiders may say, oh, you know, we have that in common. I can say it, we're loud.
Right.
We're loud.
We're loud people. It is what it is.
He gave it to me. It's his fault. So, complain to him. But I feel like, I've always felt like you have a powerful voice. Has there been a time when you have felt like your voice didn't matter?
Well, it's so weird to, you know, because people think because I have such a, I tend to have a huge presence like you sometimes.
No. Really?
Right. So
I would have never thought.
Yeah. So what happens is sometimes individuals like us, we have this presence, so people think we don't need help or assistance, or they think that we don't need somebody to jump in and support us. We need the supporters. That's why they say, you know, check on your strong friends, because we're struggling because people think we don't need support. And we do. We're out here supporting everybody, but nobody thinks that we need that support. We need it
back. Exactly.
We need it. We need it probably more so than others because we're constantly pouring it out. So we need it. If nobody needs it, we need it. So, but there have been many times in the workplace, you know, we work together. So there have been many times I felt like in my work, you know, as an EA by trade, you know, just so happens that oftentimes an EA can be viewed as the low man on the totem pole. I've had situations where people treated me as less than, or they've othered me because of my role, or because I didn't have a degree, or because I didn't, possess a certain skill. But what I learned over time is that the EA is probably the most essential person on the team.
I meant it when I said earlier, you run his life, okay?
They are the most essential component,
and the janitor.
Listen, and so what it taught me a lot, that this role, it's taught me that nobody is bigger than anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is important. Everyone has a significant role that they play. When I go into our building where we work, I speak to everybody. I talk to everyone. Everyone knows I'm going to say hello, good morning.
Here.
I'm speaking. Because I want everyone to feel included. I want everyone to feel like they matter.
After her coffee.
Well, I don't know. There's a few
you
things
do
I
speak
catch
before
going in.
You do greet people before your coffee.
Right.
Yes,
I do. But
yes.
I want everyone to feel like they matter.
Exactly.
Because I felt like I didn't matter or I wasn't important. Even though I know that the work that I was doing was key, I was still made to feel like I wasn't important. And so, I try to make people feel like when you come into my space, you matter. You are important to me.
Yes.
And so if nobody else tells you or makes you feel that way, I want, when you interact with me, I want you to feel that way, and I want you to take that away.
And I do feel that way because I feel like when I have interactions with you, and I'm sure, not having seen you in the direct, your place of mediation, but I feel like when people come to you, if you're in the middle of doing something, you say, give me 1 minute, because you are adamant about giving people 100% of your attention.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna be like, yeah, what do you want? Okay,
right.
Yeah, okay, I got it, whatever, I'll talk to you. You'll be like, give me a second, let me finish what I'm doing.
Right.
In your strong voice.
Right.
And then you give your 100% attention to who's in front of you.
People remember how you make them feel.
Maya Angelou?
They do. They remember
clap.
at the end of the day how you made them feel. And that's just what it is. One of the reasons why I can get the work done that I need to get done at work is because people remember how I make them feel. So when I call on them or I need something, they're okay with doing it because they remember how you make them feel. How you make people feel is important.
It is important.
It's important.
Like, it's so important. So, all right, well, ma'am.
Let's go. Let's
go. Let's do this wild card question. You ready for it?
I see you do this wild card thing, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm gonna lean in. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm down.
All right. Well, I gotta find them first. Okay, got it. Okay. Don't look at the question.
I'm not.
Do you know the assignment?
I know the assignment.
Are you sure?
Yes. Let's go.
Okay.
I've seen enough of these. Let's go.
Wow. Okay. I swear. Okay, some people. All right. Pick a card and hand it to me.
All right.
All right.
Lucky number 3. Let's do it.
It's like I say. The question picks the person.
Oh, here we go.
No,
let's hear it.
You know what? This is Jesus. This is baby Jesus.
Okay, let's hear it.
Baby Jesus in manger.
Okay.
Okay. I'm so excited about this question.
Let's go. Let's get it out. Spit it out. Spit it out.
I like to build attention.
Okay.
When was the last time you bet on yourself? What was the situation? And what has been your outcome thus far?
Okay.
I told you.
That is
good.
good.
You. Okay.
So I am a believer in myself. I've seen some of your shows, and we talk about the self-talk.
Yes. Oh.
Yes. I tell myself, you are enough. It depends on the situation, but you can do this. You're more than able to do this. You have to talk yourself up. So not too long ago, I decided to scale my business a little bit. And I had always said I wanted to do mediation and arbitration, but I couldn't find the time to do it or whatever. So I recently scaled to do arbitration, and the training was very difficult. The tests were very difficult, and especially when you incorporate that into, I'm a working entrepreneur, so I have a 9 to 5, when you incorporate that into that and your family and your world. But you know what? I did it. I passed my tests. I did it all. And in a short window of time, we scaled the business. So, and it was really, I started my business in 2017, and those were my goals. Those were the 2 things that I wanted to do. And I said I was going to do in 2017 was mediation and arbitration. Arbitration came a little later, but I literally walked out a goal that I spoke in 2016. You see what I'm saying? It came into fruition, into its fullness this year.
Yeah.
So I would say to other entrepreneurs, you know, what you're thinking, that self-talk, your mindset, you manifest all that stuff. So the mindset of an entrepreneur is what's going to make or break you. It's the mindset. It's, can you stay focused when business is not going well? Can you continue to be creative? Can you continue the discipline and the regimen of being an entrepreneur? It's really more mental than it is anything else.
It is like you got to do mental gymnastics.
You really do. And entrepreneurship, it challenges every aspect of who you are. It challenges your emotions. It challenges the way you view yourself. It challenges the way you view the world. It challenges, you know, do you feel like you got the guts to do it, to get it done? I mean, it challenges you in so many different aspects.
Ways. Oh my
and
gosh.
It can be overwhelming because all of that is occurring at one time.
It is.
It's occurring together. So, you know, how you talk to yourself, that mental dialogue, it's so key. It's key.
That story, the story that you tell yourself is so important. And also, like you said, it also takes having the right people in your community around you. So that when you are having that talk, so I have a friend of mine, my journey partner, who shall remain nameless, like sometimes she'll say things and I know she's joking, but I'm like, what did you just say? I said, change that. Because even though you were joking, you're feeding your mind that scenario.
And you're putting it out there.
You're putting it out there, right? So you have to change that story that you're telling yourself, that self-talk. What does that sound like? What does that look like? And it's so important in entrepreneurship. Because you have to be able to walk in that room and sell yourself.
Right.
And if you're going to be meek about it, if you can't walk into that room and be confident, people are going to be like, well,
why is she here? Why would we invest in her business?
Exactly.
And I think what you're saying too is key, because for entrepreneurs in general, you have to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the life of an entrepreneur is very different than
a corporate 9-to-5.
And so you have to surround yourself with people who have been there, people who are walking it out with you. Like you said, you have an accountability partner, somebody that you can be accountable to, that can hold you to what you said you set out to do. It's important. It's important to have a community of people and to know what that looks like. So that helps on this journey.
So you have, so I want to talk a little bit about I want to close off with a little bit of what's coming next, because you said you had set out a goal for arbitration and mediation. What does next look like?
You know, listen, as an entrepreneur, you always have to have something, and
you're always evolving.
You have to always be ready to evolve, to pivot. You know, I like how they say when those iPhones come out, when they're released, they already know what the next release is going to be.
Listen, they're already on iPhone 20.
Exactly. So as an entrepreneur, you have to already know what your next release is going to be.
Ooh, I like that.
And be ready to scale. So I always have things in the hopper. I have a couple of things that I'm working on, some things I want to do in the school system with mediation that I think are going to be amazing. So I'm working on a plan there. So there's always something happening. As an entrepreneur, I used to always say I'm not a creative because I wasn't artsy or whatever. But being an entrepreneur, it allows you to be creative. And I am a creative. I'm just a creative in my space, you know, and it allows me to continue to create, continue to evolve, continue to grow. And so there's always something in the hopper. There's always something next. You know, there's always a big next for me, but it's the timing. You have to make sure the timing is right. You have to make sure you have the right tools and systems in place and the right people in place. And then once you have that, you scale and you grow.
Okay. Well, you know what, Velvet?
Yes.
I don't know what words I could possibly utilize to close this off. This was well worth the wait of you coming on the pod. Thank you so much for being one of my biggest supporters.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so inspired by you, your drive, and just your determination to get it done. You're 9-to-5, and you're a mom too, and you have multiple children. You're a wife, you're a mother. You have a full-on job that is you have a very challenging job, but you still make all of this work. And kudos to you. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to sit here with you inside the bubble. I am extremely proud of you, for sure. And I could not leave here without saying that. You've inspired me. I'm like, look, I got to get this podcast going. Harli is rolling. She's leaving me in the dust. I'm playing around and she's gone. So no, really, hats off to you. You've done an amazing job and I'm so proud of you. You're welcome. Don't make me cry. We weren't supposed to tear up on this podcast, but here we are. We're just going to let it happen. We're done.
We're literally done.
We're going to leave the tears on the floor.
Okay.